Over 60, 10 signs of weak lungs that many people are ignoring. Many people over 60 still breathe every day, but their lungs are weakening without them even knowing it. Welcome to the Senior Health channel. If you get out of breath after climbing just a few stairs, have a persistent cough, or feel more tightness in your chest than before, these could be early signs of dangerous lung disease. In this video, we will point out the 10 most important signs and help you recognize them in time to protect your breathing and future health. The vital role of the lungs. Why do weak lungs lead? It's a whole body weakness. The lungs are not just organs for breathing. Every day, the lungs deliver oxygen into the blood, remove CO2, provide energy to the brain, heart, muscles, every cell. When lung function declines, the brain lacks oxygen, reduced memory, fatigue. The heart has to work harder. The body falls into a state of chronic exhaustion. Therefore, lung disease is not just a respiratory disease, but a disease affecting the whole body. Why is lung disease dangerous but difficult to detect early? The lungs have the ability to compensate very strong side effects. The lungs consist of millions of alveoli. When a part is damaged, the healthy part will work harder. The body still looks normal. This causes lung function may decrease by 20 to 30%, but the patient doesn't feel it clearly. The lungs have fewer pain-sensing nerves. Lung damage doesn't cause clear pain in the early stages. Symptoms are usually just slightly more tired, slightly short of breath, mild cough. These are easily overlooked. Signs easily disguised as old age. Most people over 50, when they see tiredness, poor breathing, weakness, think to themselves, "I'm old." Everyone gets that. This very mindset is the biggest reason why lung disease is detected late. 10 early signs of lung disease you shouldn't ignore. 1. Mild shortness of breath during light exercise. When your lungs start to get tired, without you realizing it, you may still be going about your daily activities. You may still be doing housework. You may still be living as before. It's just climbing stairs feels a little slower. You have to stop to catch your breath after walking for a few minutes. You feel tired and have to interrupt conversations. Many of us have thought, it's probably just old age. It's normal for the body to weaken. But sometimes, it's not just about age. It could be that your lungs are starting to work harder each day. Small changes are easily overlooked. Initially, shortness of breath is only fleeting. A short rest helps. No pain, no fear. You might notice you have to stop to catch your breath after climbing a few stairs. You feel out of breath even when walking slowly. You feel more breathless even with light work. You have to pause to breathe after speaking long sentences. Because these signs are so subtle, many people ignore them. But that very subtlety is what's worrying. When the lungs weaken, the body speaks in a very quiet way. The lungs don't hurt like the heart. They don't cramp like the stomach. The lungs rarely cry out for help with pain. When the lungs begin to weaken, less oxygen enters the blood. The body tires more quickly during exercise. The brain and muscles no longer have enough energy. You don't feel pain. You just feel less healthy than before. Why does this often happen in older adults? Over time, the lungs gradually lose elasticity. Their oxygen exchange capacity decreases. Smoke and pollution accumulate over the years. Even if you don't smoke, your lungs can still weaken silently. Diseases like COPD, pulmonary fibrosis, or age-related lung decline often don't appear suddenly, but begin with small signs like these. Unfortunately, many people only realize it too late. Many people only go for a checkup when they get out of breath after just a few steps. They feel breathless even when sitting down to rest. Daily activities become difficult. By then, the lungs have suffered more damage, and recovery is no longer easy. If you see yourself in any of the above, consider it a gentle reminder not to be afraid, but to take better care of yourself. Persistent mild shortness of breath is not something you have to accept because of old age. Early detection and timely checkups can help preserve healthy lungs, helping you continue your life, continue moving around, talking, and enjoying life more fully. Breathing is something we often forget, until it's no longer as easy as before. If today you find yourself breathing a little slower, feeling a little more tired, don't ignore it. Taking care of it early can help you maintain your health for many years to come. 2. Persistent fatigue, lack of energy. When your body is exhausted, even without doing anything strenuous. There are days you get enough sleep, don't do any strenuous work, but still feel tired from morning till evening. Not a noticeable fatigue, but a persistent fatigue. Everything seems slower, and even resting doesn't make you feel better. Many people tell themselves, maybe it's just because I'm getting old. All older people get tired, but prolonged fatigue shouldn't be considered normal. This feeling of fatigue is different from ordinary fatigue. Tiredness from overwork usually improves with rest. A good night's sleep will restore your energy, but fatigue related to the lungs is different. Even with enough sleep, you still feel tired. Even with plenty of rest, you don't regain your strength. Even with light work, you feel sluggish. Your mind is slow, you have difficulty concentrating, and you forget things easily. It's a feeling of lack of energy from within, not due to muscle weakness, but because the body isn't receiving enough oxygen. Why do weak lungs make you tired? The lungs are where oxygen is delivered to the blood. Oxygen is the fuel. 4. Brain thinking, heart contracting, muscles moving. When the lungs function less efficiently, oxygen in the blood decreases little by little. The brain functions slower. The body becomes exhausted more quickly. You don't feel pain, but your whole body feels drained of energy. One thing few people notice: fatigue due to lung problems is often accompanied by mild shortness of breath. Many people experience prolonged fatigue, easily short of breath when walking, and a loss of interest in things they used to do, but they think it's due to old age, weather, lack of sleep, and so the body suffers in silence. When is prolonged fatigue a sign to pay attention? You should pay special attention if continuous fatigue for many weeks. Rest doesn't improve it. The feeling of fatigue becomes increasingly pronounced, accompanied by mild shortness of breath, coughing, or restless sleep. This could be a sign that the lungs are working too hard to compensate for the weakened part. Don't get used to feeling tired. It's not how the body ages. Getting older doesn't mean always feeling tired, waking up exhausted, no energy for small things. Your body can still be healthy if unusual changes are noticed early. If you feel more tired than before lately, for no apparent reason, don't ignore it. Persistent fatigue isn't just a feeling. It could be a whisper from your lungs, waiting for you to listen. Pay attention early. You can save many healthy years ahead. 3. Persistent cough. When your lungs are silently speaking up, but you don't notice. There are coughs, not severe, not causing chest pain, just a persistent cough, day after day. Initially you think, it's probably just a mild cold. It's just the weather changing. Then a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and the cough is still there. Persistent coughing is often overlooked because it becomes a habit. Coughing without fever, coughing without pain, coughing that doesn't leave you bedridden. Therefore, many older adults live with a cough without realizing that. This could be a sign of prolonged lung irritation. A long-term cough becomes a habit, to the point of forgetting that the lungs shouldn't be coughing constantly. The most noteworthy types of coughs. You should pay attention if you cough for more than 3 to 4 weeks without stopping. Coughing frequently in the early morning upon waking up. Dry cough, or cough with mucus. Cough without cold or fever. This is not an acute cough, but a chronic cough, an early sign of many lung diseases. Why does weak lungs cause a persistent cough? Coughing is a self-protective reflex of the lungs. When the airways are mildly inflamed for an extended period, the lung lining is irritated by smoke, dust, and pollution. The lungs gradually lose their ability to self-clean. The body will use coughing to try to expel foreign substances. But when the damage is not addressed, the lungs cough day after day, as a silent reminder. In what cases is a persistent cough common? Chronic cough is very common in chronic bronchitis, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. People who have smoked, even if they have quit, people who have lived for a long time in a smoky and dusty environment. It is worth noting that coughing appears very early, but is often ignored for a long time. When a cough is more than just a cough, many older adults experience prolonged coughing, easier shortness of breath, more fatigue, but they think it's normal to cough a little at this age. In reality, a persistent cough is a sign that the lungs are weakening, and if left unchecked, the damage can progress silently. When should you really pay attention? You should consider getting your lungs checked if a cough lasts longer than a month, a cough that recurs for many years, a cough accompanied by fatigue, shortness of breath, or mild chest tightness, a cough that disrupts sleep. This is not a normal cough, but an early warning sign. A cough isn't always dangerous, but a persistent cough shouldn't be taken lightly. The lungs don't sound painful. The lungs only communicate with small, repeated coughs every day. If you listen early, your lungs still have a chance to be protected. 4. Wheezing, whistling sounds. When the airways are no longer clear, there are times when you don't feel pain, but when you exhale, you hear a very faint sound, a wheezing sound, or a slight whistling, as if the airflow has to squeeze through a narrow passage. Initially, you might think it's probably just phlegm, just breathing too heavily. Then the sound repeats, especially at night or upon waking in the morning. Wheezing is often overlooked because it doesn't cause pain. No chest pain, no fever. It doesn't require you to stop immediately. Therefore, many older adults accept living with wheezing, considering it a minor issue. But in reality, it's a sign that the airways are narrowing. What does the sound of breathing indicate? When you breathe, normally, air enters and exits smoothly, gently, almost inaudibly. But when the lining of the airways is inflamed, the bronchi are slightly constricted. Phlegm narrows the airways. The airflow will create an abnormal sound. Wheezing is an early warning sign that the airways are no longer as clear as before. When our breathing sounds most noticeable, you should pay attention. If you hear a clear wheezing sound when exhaling, your breathing sounds heavier at night or in the early morning. Wheezing occurs in cold, damp weather. Wheezing is accompanied by a cough or mild shortness of breath. This is not a random occurrence, but is often related to chronic inflammation in the lungs. What diseases commonly cause wheezing? This symptom is very common in asthma, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, chronic bronchitis, especially in older adults. Roads the lungs have become less elastic. Even mild, prolonged inflammation can cause wheezing. Why are older people more prone to this? Over time, the airways gradually lose their flexibility. The expectoration reflex weakens. The lungs are more easily irritated by smoke, dust, and pollution. At that point, even a small change in the lungs is enough to create abnormal breathing sounds. When should wheezing be taken seriously? You should pay attention if wheezing occurs frequently. The breathing sounds become increasingly noticeable. Wheezing is accompanied by fatigue, persistent coughing, and shortness of breath. Wheezing makes it difficult for you to sleep at night. This is when the lungs need to be checked. Wheezing isn't always immediately dangerous, but it's never a sign to ignore. The lungs aren't screaming. The lungs just breathe slightly differently. Each day, if you listen carefully, you can keep your breathing smoother, gentler, and longer. 5. Mild chest tightness, feeling unable to breathe deeply. When your breath is no longer full as before, there are times when you don't experience severe chest pain, no obvious shortness of breath, but you feel inhalation isn't satisfying. The breath goes in, but seems not to reach the lungs completely. The chest feels heavy, tight, like it's blocked in the middle. Many people describe it simply: breathing doesn't feel comfortable. Why is this feeling so easily overlooked? Because it doesn't cause sharp pain. It doesn't make you stop immediately. You can still walk and talk normally. So you often tell yourself, it's probably just fatigue. It's probably just worrying too much. It's probably just old age. But for the lungs, the feeling of not being able to breathe deeply is an early warning sign. What's happening inside your lungs? To take a deep breath. The lungs need good elasticity. evenly expanding alveoli, clear airways. When the lungs begin to weaken, lung tissue becomes less elastic. Part of the alveoli no longer open completely. Persistent mild inflammation in the lungs. Breathing still occurs, but not deeply enough. The body recognizes this deficiency even before you notice significant shortness of breath. When should chest tightness be a cause for concern? You should pay attention if mild chest tightness occurs several times a day. This feeling is more pronounced when lying down. Difficulty taking deep breaths when walking or talking for long periods. The feeling of not having enough air lasts for days or weeks. This is not a temporary reaction. What problems are often associated with mild chest tightness? In older adults, this symptom is commonly seen in age-related decreased lung elasticity, mild but persistent pneumonia, early-stage pulmonary fibrosis, early-stage COPD. These diseases do not cause severe pain initially, but silently restrict breathing each day. Why does the feeling of not being able to breathe deeply make the body feel more tired? When breathing is not deep enough, oxygen in the blood decreases slightly but persistently. The brain and muscles do not receive enough energy. The body has to breathe faster to compensate. The consequences are persistent fatigue, easily short of breath, not feeling well after waking up. Many people don't know that their fatigue starts with their breathing. Don't confuse mild chest tightness with ordinary stress. Stress can cause a feeling of heaviness in the chest, but usually it appears when anxiety is pronounced. It decreases with relaxation, while chest tightness due to lung problems recurs regularly, does not disappear completely even with rest, is accompanied by shortness of breath or a mild cough. The difference lies in the repetition and duration. Lung problems don't cause you pain to be alarmed. Lung problems just make your breathing less complete than before. If you find yourself often sighing, often needing to take more breaths, feeling short of breath even when breathing, that might be a time to pay a little more attention to your lungs. Listening to your breath today is a way to maintain your health for the years to come. 6. Recurrent respiratory infections, a silent warning sign. Some elderly people complain, "I've been getting colds a lot lately. I just recovered from a cough, and soon after, I get a sore throat. I have to take antibiotics several times a month." It might seem like a minor issue, but for older adults, this is no longer just a common cold. Common symptoms: colds, sore throats, and bronchitis occur multiple times a year. Coughing, mild fever, persistent fatigue. Recovery is very slow. The illness returns a few weeks after stopping medication. Each infection causes noticeable weakening of the body. Frequent use of antibiotics, but their effectiveness decreases over time. Some people say, it's just that old people get sick often, but repeated illnesses like this are a sign that the lungs are having problems. Why is this sign dangerous? Because at this time, the lungs' protective barrier has weakened. Citricles in the airways function poorly. Bacteria can easily enter. Mucus accumulates excessively. Germs multiply. The lungs no longer clean themselves as well as before. Each infection is not just another illness, but another instance of further lung damage. And what's even more worrying is, after each episode of inflammation, lung function gradually decreases. Patients experience more shortness of breath. The risk of severe pneumonia complications and respiratory failure increases. In which cases is this commonly seen? This symptom often appears in people with COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, chronic bronchitis, bronchiectasis, long-term smokers, people living in polluted environments with smoke and dust, elderly people with weakened immune systems. It is especially dangerous if each infection is more severe than the previous one. If you, your grandparents, or your aunts and uncles find that you frequently catch colds and cough repeatedly, each time you get sick, you feel more tired and weaker, you have to take more medication than before, breathing isn't as strong as it was a few years ago, please don't consider it a sign of old age. It could be a late warning sign from your lungs. Your lungs don't hurt to signal it. Your lungs just get tired, weaker, and send signals through recurring infections. Early detection, early intervention, proper care can help slow lung decline and preserve years of easier breathing. 7. Prolonged fatigue. Exhaustion. Lungs no longer suffer enough to nourish the body. Many older adults say, "I feel tired even when I'm not doing anything. I want to sit down and rest early in the morning. I don't feel any better after waking up." This fatigue isn't like typical old age fatigue. This is a feeling of depleted energy from within. Common symptoms. Persistent fatigue throughout the day. Even rest doesn't help. Experiencing shortness of breath and rapid heartbeat, even with light work. Feeling sluggish upon waking in the morning. Easily sleepy, lack of concentration, losing energy for familiar activities. Why are these signs dangerous? Because the lungs are not delivering enough oxygen to the blood. The organs are working in a state of silent oxygen deficiency. The heart has to work harder to compensate. The body is rapidly depleting energy. This fatigue is not due to laziness, but because the lungs are weakening, commonly seen in COPD, pulmonary fibrosis, age-related decline, in lung function, people who have had multiple lung infections. 8. Slight weight loss, poor appetite, signs of exhausted lungs. Many people think it's normal to be a little thinner when you're older, but if you don't diet, don't change your lifestyle, and your weight is still slowly decreasing, that's a sign that shouldn't be taken lightly. Common symptoms. Eating less because you feel full easily, shortness of breath while eating, loss of appetite, slow but steady weight loss, weakened muscles, thinner arms and legs, pale and lifeless appearance. Why is this sign dangerous? Because difficulty breathing causes the body to expend more energy than normal. Weak lungs. The body has to burn muscle and fat to maintain activity. Malnutrition further weakens the lungs, creating a vicious cycle of exhaustion. Weak lungs not only affect breathing, but also take away the vitality of the whole body, commonly seen in advanced stage COPD, pulmonary fibrosis, elderly people with long-standing chronic lung disease. 9. Slightly purple lips and fingers. Warning of oxygen deficiency. Some people notice, "My lips are paler than before. My fingertips are slightly purple when it's cold." This is a very subtle sign, but it is very serious. Common symptoms. Pale lips, slightly purple lips, discoloration of fingertips and toes, nails curl more than normal, easily cold hands and feet, rapid breathing even without exercise. Why is this sign dangerous? Because insufficient oxygen in the blood. Lungs are not performing their gas exchange function properly. Prolonged oxygen deprivation in vital organs. Increased risk of heart failure and brain damage. This is a sign that lungs have significantly deteriorated, no longer just in the early stages. Commonly seen in moderate to severe COPD, chronic respiratory failure, progressive pulmonary fibrosis. 10. Difficulty sleeping at night, frequently waking up due to shortness of breath. Many elderly people complain, "I don't sleep soundly at night. I often wake up and have to sit up to breathe. It feels harder to breathe when I lie down." This is not just insomnia due to old age. Common symptoms. Drowsiness when lying on your back, having to use a high pillow to sleep, frequent awakenings in the middle of the night due to shortness of breath, feeling more tired upon waking than before going to sleep, drowsy and lacking alertness during the day. Why are these symptoms dangerous? Because at night, the lungs function less efficiently, breathing slows down. If the lungs are already failing, oxygen deficiency becomes more pronounced. Prolonged oxygen deficiency at night will overload the heart, prevent the brain from getting proper rest, accelerate the process of overall physical deterioration. If you notice 2 to 3 or more signs in this sequence, please don't wait until you can't breathe to see a doctor. The lungs may be silent when weak, but the consequences are not light. Who needs to pay special attention? You need to monitor your lungs more closely if you are over 50 years old, you have ever smoked, even if you have quit, you live in a polluted, dusty environment, you are often tired or short of breath, You have a history of asthma or bronchitis. Why? Is early detection of lung disease important? If detected early, slows disease progression, preserves lung capacity, maintains quality of life. If detected late, chronic shortness of breath, requires long-term medication, limited activities. Lungs do not recover quickly, but can be protected if detected early. What should you do today? Don't blame age. Old age does not mean shortness of breath. Get a respiratory checkup if you have greater than or equal to 2 symptoms. Get a lung function test. Get an X-ray when needed. Protect your lungs daily. Avoid cigarette smoke. Wear a mask in polluted areas. Take light walks. Practice deep breathing. Common misconceptions about lung disease. No pain. Healthy lungs false. Only smokers get it false. Everyone breathes weakly when they get old false. Frequently asked questions. Are the early signs of lung disease obvious? No. They are very mild and easily overlooked. Is lung disease preventable? Yes, if detected early and lifestyle adjustments are made. Which sign is most easily overlooked? Persistent fatigue, mild shortness of breath, persistent cough. Your lungs may not be complaining of pain, but they are silently speaking out every day. Signs like shortness of breath, persistent cough, fatigue, are not necessarily due to old age, but could be early warning signs of lung disease. Early detection means a chance. Proactively listening to your body today is the best way to maintain healthy breathing in later years. Thank you for watching until the end video. If you find this helpful, please like, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to the Senior Health Channel to live healthy, breathe easily, and find peace every day. Goodbye and see you in the next video.